Chinese actress Kathy Chow has died at the age of 57, possibly from COVID-19, according to her post-mortem diagnosis. And now Chinese police in Beijing have stepped in to investigate her cause of death as they're trying to downplay the potential of a COVID-related death in China. And this is all sparking a massive social reaction inside Chinese internet space. Welcome to China Insider, I'm David Zhang. Yesterday, after her death, the Chinese social media Weibo suddenly filled with hot search topics related to surrounding her death, of course, and came as a shock as everyone thought that at the age of 57, she was still relatively young, and how did she die? Over the years, it was rumored that she was diagnosed with lupus, specifically the kind called systemic lupus erythematosus, or SLE for short. And although she has denied this, it was that she had to leave work from acting, and then she had to receive treatment, and then she disappeared from Hong Kong. But later on, she moved on to the mainland entertainment industry and started to be in a series of dramas, and to this day, of course. And this has been a wide discussion around the topic of how she died. According to her post-mortem report, she had been coughing for a week. She needed oxygen to help her because she was having difficulty breathing, and there's bleeding in her eye. And because she was coughing for a week, it led to the speculation that potentially her death was caused by COVID-19, and it did not mention anything to do with lupus. And this comes at a time in mainland China where there's a mysterious disease going on, but the officials, the Chinese regime, have downplayed the potential for COVID-19 to be the cause of this latest outbreak. And so they're clearly downplaying the potential here. And this comes as China put into place 5 new vaccines that are going to be in emergency authorization usage for COVID-19 actually. But so it tells you from all these circumstantial evidence that definitely there is still COVID and it could possibly be an outbreak in China right now. And it turns out Kathy Chow has been an avid promoter of the Chinese vaccines as well as Chinese propaganda. And in 2021, she filmed a video and posted to her Douyin, which has been deleted, that she went and documented her journey of receiving vaccination in Beijing, where she currently resides. And she was an ambassador for the Chinese vaccines. And in that same video, there was commenters asking her that, hey, Sister Chow, didn't you have this autoimmune condition with lupus, SLE? Why are you taking the vaccine? And she replied that, oh, don't believe those rumors. I'm very healthy. I don't have anything. Later on, she went up to a variety show and she clarified that she had low platelet counts, but she did not admit that she had lupus. Now, Kathy Chow is a well-known Hong Kong actress that started in the 80s, and she rose to fame by portraying some of the classic novel female protagonists. She was even the actress in the famous music video for Jackie Chan's Kiss Goodbye music video. And then later on, she moved to the mainland entertainment industry to continue to be an actress and up until her death. And this is something really interesting because many Hong Kong celebrities, when they want to venture out into the mainland, they end up cozying with the CCP and using their influence to become ambassadors for the Chinese regime. In 2019, amid the massive anti-extradition movement in Hong Kong, where millions of Hong Kongers stepped out into the street to protest the draconian laws, Kathy Chow came out and spoke on behalf of the Chinese regime and came in to support Jackie Chan's campaign, which was done by the Beijing state media called, I believe it was called the Ready to Protect Hong Kong, and it was supporting the police at the time who were cracking down on the protesters. Here's what she said. I am Kathy Chow. The recent situation in Hong Kong has affected people's hearts. No matter what, Hong Kong cannot continue to be chaotic, and peace should be restored as soon as possible. I was born, grew up, and worked in Hong Kong. China is my motherland, and Hong Kong is my home. I love China, I love my family, and hope that Hong Kong can restore tranquility, peace, and harmony as soon as possible. Now, this line is often used by those pro-CCP celebrities to try to blur the line between the reason why Hong Kong is having those protests to the reason why the Chinese regime is trying to take over Hong Kong. And her influence, of course, and this outspoken pro-CCP stance is a lot of what the celebrities are doing now is to make money. And the way they can make money in China as a Hong Kong actress or actor is they have to support the CCP. Now, in recent years, many pro-CCP celebrities and well-known influencers have actually died. Just one day after Kathy Chow's death, a media personality and columnist also suddenly died. He was a very pro-CCP man in Hong Kong, and his wife was also very pro-CCP. And Letitia Lee, who is a politician, very outspoken for being pro-CCP, also suddenly died in December of 2020. And now, the journalists, they say that he died from leukemia, But according to a close friend of his, he said that he had caught COVID about a few days prior and he was not feeling well too. So no idea if this is actually the real cause, as they never tell you, but it's clear that COVID-19 had something to do with it. It's very similar in the situation with Kathy Chow, where she suddenly didn't feel well, and according to her work studio, Kathy Chow had been coughing, and she was telling her coworkers that she was having shortness of breath. She couldn't catch her breath, she couldn't breathe well, and so she was put on oxygen by herself. But it's unclear if she actually went to the doctor or not.
If there is one supplement you want to get incorporated into your diet, it's a good omega-3 supplement. It's the best all-around defender for your health. It reduces inflammation, cholesterol, improves eyesight, and reduces risk for heart problems, as well as helps with joint pain, among other benefits. Today, I want to introduce you to Puritan's green vegetables. Puritan gets their ingredients straight from the high mountains of South Korea, and the omega oils are extracted from purslane and perilla seeds. It's 100% vegan. Now, personally, I've been using Omega for about 9 years, close to 10 years now. I've recently switched to Puritan for about a few weeks now. Here's why. We mostly get our Omegas from fish, right? But that's not the best case for everyone, especially there's the aftertaste. It might not be suitable for vegetarians or vegan. So the most important part, right, we often forget is the actual concentration for Omegas. Puritan soft gels have a much higher content for Omega 3, 6, 7, and 9 than many of the brands out there. And some say that they notice there's less hair loss, more energy, lower cholesterol levels, and overall improved health. I think the best part for me is the lack of inflammation, or the reduction of inflammation. Other brands also they use this high heat method to extract the oil, which in turn creates a lot of harmful byproducts. Puritan's green vegetable is done using a patented method of supercritical carbon dioxide low temperature extraction, so it preserves the natural properties and maintains high purities. First of its kind. So get it for yourself or as a gift to your loved ones ahead of the holiday season. Use my code DZ2023 and you can receive free shipping globally. Check out my link in the description and comment today.
And according to her studio's public announcement, it was due to ineffective treatment that she died. The Chinese regime is trying very hard to downplay her death and the connection to COVID-19 because for two reasons. One is it tells, if she did die from COVID, that the Chinese vaccines are ineffective. And the second reason is that the current outbreak is so severe. And both reasons will dramatically drop the credibility of the CCP once more, especially if the death is a famous actress who was very outspoken to be pro-China, and her downfall or her death is because of the very disease that she had helped to cover up. And of course, I'm not here to bash her after her death, but I'm simply speaking for an objective fact that these pro-CCP celebrities meet their end. And it's very tragic because they had been outspoken towards and loving the Chinese Communist Party, helping to spread the propaganda for them to poison more people in China and to essentially endorse their lies. And I'm afraid even in death, her true diagnosis won't be revealed because of the cover-up in Beijing. So let's break down why we think that COVID-19 may be the cause of death. And according to her diagnostic report, which was leaked, now this is a public health information that's not supposed to be available, but now it is, so it's public now. But it says that she suddenly fainted in her condo in Beijing on the afternoon of December 11th, and the staff urgently tried to wake her up. They couldn't, so they called the hospital, and she was taken there, but she had died on the way. So according to the person who revealed that she had no vital sign when she arrived in the hospital in Beijing. And if you look at the examination report, it says she's been coughing for a week, but that alone could not cause a sudden death because she suffers something likely more fatal. Now, there could be three reasons that I can think of after researching. The first one is an acute respiratory failure. And the second is if there's brain hemorrhage or some type of a brain stroke. And then the third one is if there's a heart failure of some sort, like a cardiac arrest or a heart attack, which happened to the former leader Li Keqiang while he was swimming, apparently. Now, Kathy Chow lived by herself in a condo. Because there's a rumor that she had lupus, clearly she needed some ongoing medical treatments or attention all the time. She also said she had a low platelet count, which means that there's definitely going to be advice, again, if this is true that she has lupus, to avoid any activity that could cause her to have excessive amounts of bleeding. Because if you have a low platelet count, it means you can't coagulate your blood. And so there's certain, for example, if you have a cut or if you get a nosebleed, the chance of it stopping is very low, right? If you have a low platelet count. Now, of course, in that medical diagnostic, there isn't anything mentioning a brain or heart-related diagnosis, because that, again, would show up on the report, but it didn't. So it leads me to think that this could be something to do with the respiratory system. Again, something very suspicious here is that she didn't go to the hospital after experiencing shortness of breath and needing oxygen. So potentially she was thinking that she caught a regular flu or seasonal flu or some sort. And because one of the indicative factors that it's COVID is that maybe you have a high fever, and she didn't have one. So it probably made her think that she was all right. She just had a common flu and she didn't need to go to the hospital for it. And right now, thinking of all the possible factors that could cause a respiratory failure, the most common one, at least people will get, is COVID. And according to the latest news, the police in Beijing have stepped in to investigate who leaked her medical record and this diagnostics. Of course, clearly that's in the medical industry is a malpractice to leak a patient's private health information. But since it's now public, it means that the regime wants to cover up because people are speculating what caused her death. Now, could lupus be the cause of death? Well, if we go by the route that she does have it, which she denies, she's had it for over 40 years. And so in this chronic condition, she's had to have treatments and management for her health over the years. And so for a sudden deterioration in that, there must be some sort of a trigger. But again, there could be some sort of internal bleeding or bleeding that happens, but you will get it reflected on your diagnostics, right? We didn't see any of that here. And even so, these serious complications with SLE could happen to people much older, like 70 to 80-year-olds, but she's in her 50s. One of the trigger is, of course, related to the vaccine. Now, on her medical record, it says she's taken 4 Chinese vaccines. And this is, again, multiple cities in China now, they have something called a vaccine safety preventative exercise. Notice here, it's not called the pandemic safety preventative exercise. It's called a vaccine safety measures prevention measure test. Now, this isn't some right-wing talking point, right? Vaccines clearly have side effects. And even so, if they're Chinese-made vaccines are proven to be much worse compared to the Western counterparts, less effective, there's less testing involved, and so we don't know about a lot of the side effects with vaccines. So what kind of consequence would vaccine have for somebody who has an autoimmune disease like lupus? Well, the vaccines are going to further weaken their own immunity because the vaccines administered in China, they're called the inactivated vaccines. According to the contradictions of COVID-19 vaccination officially announced by the CCP, in Article 19 it specifically stipulates that people who suffer from diseases like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, liver syndrome, etc., that when you have these diseases, the general principle is to seek medical advice before getting the vaccination. What is prudent vaccination? Well, it means that the risk for getting the vaccine is relatively high. And so if she does have lupus and then she still went up against the medical advice to get this because she wants to represent the Chinese vaccines for the CCP, then that not only has harmed herself, but it's also harmed millions of her fans who are believing that this is a good and healthy option to go with. And so she's basically poisoned everyone that's involved in the process.